everybody. Welcome to Dead Money with Dan Orphan, Season 2. This episode is brought to you by Misery, starring Dan Orphan as the miserable man. This is going to be the most dejected episode of Dead Money with Dan Orphan. I'm Dan Orphan. If I sound like some miserable fuck who sounds feeling sorry for himself, it's because I'm a miserable fuck feeling sorry for himself. And I've been doing pretty good for a while, and I still got a lot of hand histories to get to. I said I was going to get to them fast, then I didn't. I had a huge win a couple weeks ago, like 5,600, I think. I flopped quads against a whale. I made flop boat against this guy, river to boat against that guy. I was hitting some shit. But look, I can't talk about it yet. I'll get to it soon. For now, we're going to talk about what happened last night. There was a lot of fighting between me and other players, and there was a lot of crazy hands that happened. Only a few to talk about. First, I'm going to get to the company of this game. So there's this white guy, like short t-shirt, kind of muscular, bald beard. And one of the first things he said after I sat down, he was just talking about how he'd been in Vegas 6 days and it's been nothing but these super nitty games. So right away, this guy's already hating on the games. And the people who tend to do this, in most cases, are not doing anything to make these games any better. They're just playing the way everybody else is playing. And they're just resenting them for doing so, for not giving them the money, for not giving them easy spots, for not spewing, for not punting to them, for making them work for it. So I'm rocking my new black cowboy hat, first time out. And this guy's sitting on my left, and I was giving him a break at first. I didn't say anything. And then he got into a blind versus blind. He said he didn't chop, and I told him I don't chop either. I was kind of like in a, good mood, I guess. Then he starts asking me some questions about, like, if I'm a pro or if I live in Vegas, or because I said I lived in Vegas. He asked if I moved there for work. He said, "So you're a pro?" I was like, I'm just playing poker, man. It's always weird when this comes up at the table, even if it's just between you and one other player. It's like I don't feel like saying I am a pro to anybody. It's just, I don't enjoy, I don't want to really talk about this right here, And it should be fucking obvious anyway, number one. So the fact that he's even asking this question is already kind of stupid. Maybe the cowboy hat makes me look more recreational. When I'm not wearing it, I look more like just that, reg pro look. Because I have it. And that's not a flex, it's just what it is. But I felt like this guy was kind of pestering me a little bit. But I was just letting it be. Then he starts talking some shit again about the game. And he's riffling his chips, but he's sort of intermittently banging them into the table. It's making a loud sound. It's right next to me. He just got this, it's just, okay, it wasn't that loud, but it was fucking chips. You can probably picture it. And it's not once or twice. It's just going on. And I'm not really loving this, but I'm just letting it be. And then we got a couple new faces sitting down, a couple of young guys, a couple new faces, a couple people got up. And he's talking again how he wants the table changed and that the game sucks. But it was really the banging the chips, riffling them into the table that was getting on my nerves. And finally, I freaking just lashed out at this guy. I don't know if I lashed out as much as I have before at the table as I did at this guy. And I think maybe I said, it's always hard to remember these things. I know I wrote down a few things I said. I think one of the first things I said to him was as if you're doing anything to make the game any more interesting yourself. And before I add on, look, poker games are like this. They go through lulls. Even good games go through lulls in action. It's part of the game. It's not always freaking rip-roaring. You have to be patient. This is a long, slow grind. These guys who show up and want to win big and go home, they're fucking wannabes. We're working for this shit. And I think I told him, I was people can play however they want to play. I told them, just shut the fuck up and just let them play. Let everyone play. Yeah, I cursed at him. And people were sitting down in the middle, so they kind of thought that I was sort of being the dick. But, people are laughing. But I'm really putting this guy in his place. This guy was just such a fucking prick. These babies are the ones who piss me off the most. Who come in and they're bitching about the game like they're entitled to have whales just be dumping to them. Just get a fucking table change. You don't have to say a word to anybody. How dare you antagonize the table? Do I have to do these things? No, but it's it feel even worse if I just sit there and just listen to this guy bitch and bitch and bitch. I told him, you stop banging the chips into the table. I told him to do that too. I mean, it all happens so fast, I should turn the fucking recording on when I know I'm going to start with somebody, and then I get it all. I'll just give you an exact transcription, and I'll try and remember to do that. So they get a floor. The dealer calls a floor. Or maybe he walked over and saw like there was a little commotion. I waved to him. I was like, hey, come here. I just got off the table and talked to him in private. I was like, all right, it's no big deal, even. I was like, this guy said he wants a table change. He's antagonizing the table. He's banging his chips on the table. He's just being a real baby. And it's like, and I just don't want to listen to this. I said, yeah, I was rude to him. I don't care. And he goes over to the guy. He's like, so you're trying to get, he's like, sorry, did you want a table change? He's like, no, I didn't want a table change. Now he's taking his table change away because I called him out on all of his fucking bullshit. Now he's saying, no, I don't want to leave. Now he wants to stay in the game. And he was also getting mad at the floor that he wouldn't talk to him in private, that he asked about this table change at the table. He's like, what? He's like, you don't even come talk to me? He's like, well, sir, I was like, I'm sorry. He's like, I was under the impression that you had wanted a table change, which he did, of course. Who would make that up about somebody? I told the floorman that because that's what was going on. And I was in the, this is probably about an hour and a half into the session. He's giving me shit about, he's like, have you played a single hand since you got that? Well, first of all, yes, I had played a few hands. I'd gotten to a couple of 3-bet pots. So it's not like he's paying attention. But I didn't answer him with that. I mean, and first, look, an hour and a half is nothing. I mean, you could go an hour and a half without getting a playable hand. It's a lot harder when the games are short-handed a lot more often like they are now. 8-handed and everyone taking a piss break. So I just went in on this guy. And this wasn't even the only fucking asshole to be an asshole. let's do the dealers right now. This one dealer, this European player, who's turned out to be a schmuck too. I mean, he was in C4. The dealer deals, and first, under the gun, acts out of turn. This European player limps in, but that was after under the gun won, raised to 20, acted out of turn, and the dealer just never noticed this. And this European player, as the action folds around, he has his cards behind the line the whole time. They don't even come close to the line. He pushed them slightly to the side, and then the dealer just reached across and mucked his hand, and the player didn't even flinch. He didn't even I don't know, didn't even notice. I don't know how he didn't notice it, because it seemed like he was looking straight ahead, but I guess not. And I said to the dealer, I was like, why did you just take his hand? He's like, I thought he was folding. And then the player realizes, he's like, in whatever accent, he's like, what? Throwing his arms, and he's wants to get a floor. The hand is totally dead now. There's absolutely no way to go back in time. It's like, we don't have a time machine. I'm telling the dealer, his cards were right behind the line. What are you doing? I said, and that player acted out of the turn, and you didn't even notice that. And this dealer also sits down. Now, when you're playing out in some of these tables and cash games, they don't all have automatic shufflers when you go in the tournament section, so they got to count the stub. I think they do that shit way too much, but they do it at the end of hands. You're at the river, players are betting, you hear bang, 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 until they get to 52. This dealer sits down, the same guy who doesn't know who's acting out of turn, who mucks a guy's hand sitting in front of him, and his cards were clearly behind line the whole time. This dealer sits, before any of this happened, he was counting the cards, flicking them side to side in his hand, before he even dealt a hand. He just sits down and just starts doing that, and he's wasting time that way. These things are supposed to be done on players' time. Dealers are supposed to multitask, not make us wait to do all this little crap. Dealing poker is a lot of responsibility. There's a lot going on. So there's not that many dealers who are good at it. But he knows he's not supposed to be doing that. So then this European player who had his cards mucked, then we agreed to a round of straddles. And maybe I'm number 4 or number 5 guy to do it. He doesn't put his straddle out. And I said to him, I was like, are you straddling? I was like, we agreed to do a round. He's like, I didn't agree. I was like, it's like, well, the whole table asked. I was like, why didn't you say something why didn't you want to do it? I hate when fucking people do this. They are so fucking scared. They're such assholes about not straddling when it's their turn to straddle, yet they're such pussies about saying they don't want to straddle when the table's being asked. They don't want to say, I don't want to straddle. They just want to sit there, say nothing, and then not straddle when it gets to them, and let everybody else straddle and just take advantage. But you know what he did? He put the straddle out anyway. Because I was saying to him, I was like, why didn't you just say something if you didn't want to straddle? We're not going to make you do anything. You don't owe us anything. But we asked. Say something. I was like, no, I said, no one's going to throw a rock at your head. So he was a sport about it. Then we get to the European player, and he hasn't straddled. And it's I was like, hey, it's your straddle. He's like, I already looked. I was like, but you agreed to straddle already. I was like, we all said we're doing it. You don't have to, not straddle. You don't have to punish yourself saying, oh, I can't straddle because I looked already. You agreed ahead of time. Now it's your turn to do it.
I said, okay, you got your way out of it. It is unbelievable when people try and scam their way out of fucking straddles. I mean, it is the pettiest fucking thing you can probably do in poker. That's besides angling, which is like, angling is dirty. This is just fucking petty, okay? It's dirty too, but I think it's like a bit more petty than dirty, because you're not like doing what you do when you angle somebody. It doesn't fucking matter. I mean, it's just, why is that worth it to you to look like such a piece of shit in front of everybody that you will agree to straddle, then say, oh, I looked, it's too late. So I'm getting on him for it. And then this other fucking douchebag, this Asian kid on his left, he starts defending him. He's saying, it's all right. It's just one guy. I was like, we agreed to do it already. I was like, all right, fine, fuck the agreement. I said, next agreement I make, I'm going to break it on purpose, and I expect you to just let me do that. I mean, these people are acting like such fucking jerk-offs, and I'll give myself some credit. I was sunning everybody, because that other asshole with the table change, he barely said a word the rest of the time he was playing. And we did so when we do this first round of straddles with this other jerk-off who doesn't straddle, then we didn't agree to do a second round. And a second round started, though, but was not agreed on. I followed suit as probably the fifth or sixth guy, then gets to asshole, bald asshole, he doesn't straddle, and then Asian kid, who was defending Euro for not straddling at all after agreeing to do it, is now criticizing this guy for not straddling as we're continuing to straddle. And then I was like, I don't like this guy, but we did not agree to another round of straddle. He doesn't need to straddle. And so, I guess, what is that, like a backhanded something? I mean, he's like, oh, that really breaks my heart. It was getting a bit tit for tat. And that European player, oh yeah, he was like really lobbying hard for this single board bomb pot, Hold'em bomb pot that they'll let you do with the win. That's all they let you do, and it's not very popular because it sucks. I think they all suck, but Hold'em single board, really, that is by far the least popular. So when I was fighting with him about the straddle, he's like, you don't want to do bomb pot? I was like, we didn't agree to do a bomb pot, but we did agree to straddle. I mean, why do we have to have this fucking argument? I feel like I'm in a fucking nursery school as I'm telling this fucking story. Getting older and growing up are two completely different things, and yes, I'm including myself in that. But you know something? I have a lot more common sense than these dumb fucks who I have to deal with every single day. They're just flat out dead wrong, and I'm calling them out on their bullshit because I can't sit there and watch this crap. I don't even know. I'm not even trying to be an alpha or a leader. I'm just like, are you fucking serious? I know a lot of people are scared to speak up. I'm not. I'm willing to fall off the fucking tightrope in so many fucking ways. And I have. This night was just getting started, people. When I'm tearing into these people, it's because they are so out of order and they're so obnoxious and arrogant, and someone needs to put them in their place. I don't like doing it. I really don't like doing this. It gets me perturbed. I start thinking weird. Then they were trying to get a round of straddles and blind 20 open, which fewer people were agreeing on, and I'm not agreeing on this either because this game looks kind of good, and it's like I don't feel like playing this way against these douchebags. Let's just play it the normal way. You guys lower the SPR like this, I mean, my edge is going to drop a little bit. I'm not fucking giving you that just so you can have a good time. Go fuck yourself. Go play 10-20 if that's what you want to do. They have these stake increases for a reason, people. But yeah, some people definitely thought I was the asshole, and that's okay. As long as I got to shut the asshole up, then it's fine. It's worth it. It was hardcore, though. You don't see a lot of players shout very loudly in another player's face, shut the fuck up. It felt good to say it. I mean, it didn't feel good to do, but it feels good to say it by the time you do. You know what I mean? It's like you don't want to throw up, but when you are throwing up, in the act of actually throwing up, you are feeling a little better now that you are finally at this point. It's kind of what it was like. But all right, so on to the hand. So on one of these blind open pots, under the gun limps, I think there was two other limps. I get ace-10 offsuit. I make it 175, which I still haven't even added up this and come up with a better number. The best number probably didn't have to be this big, but whatever. Probably not that bad either. And I had already was kind of lashing out on the tables. I was like, all you guys, when just talk about the guy who was antagonizing the game, I was like, all you guys sit down here. You're all just a bunch of little bitches who just want to make the nuts and wait for someone to give you all the money. We don't want to actually play. I'm saying this as I make it 175. And then as it falls back to the under the gun, the guy who limps, this young guy, I said to him, all right. I was like, put it in my face. Put it in my face. Because it looked like he was going to put it in my face. I was pretty sure he was definitely going to do it. And I just figured, fuck me. I'm just going to say it anyway. All right, nice hand. I folded. He said he was Mexican, I think. And he was friends with that Asian kid, the one who had a problem with, the one who did not have a problem with the guy who didn't straddle after he agreed to straddle because his story was, oh, I looked at my hand already. Wow. Any way, Mexico raises under the gun. There's a middle position call. I got ace king of clubs. I make it 65. Went 15 call, 65 at ace king of clubs. They both call. The flop comes ace, jack, 8. Rainbow. They check. I bet 100 into about 190. Probably should go bigger now I think about it. I think all straight draws are calling but not raising. I think any check raise is just an easy fold to. My hand looks too strong, so people are raising. It's like, okay. You're going to get all the 9-10s and queen 10s, gut shots, and people never fold ace-x to one bet. I mean, they do, but rarely. Anyway, so Mexico calls, heads up. Turns a deuce, rainbow, all rainbow. He checks. I check back. He's like, sneaky check back. Not the first time he said that. And when he said it, I didn't think that meant that, like, his hand was necessarily weak, but maybe not crazy strong. River's another jack. He bets 75 into 395. So, all right, this is a fist-pumping raise. And I make it to 250. It's supposed to be just a great spot to get called by an ace that might have folded turn to another barrel because this river raise looks like I'm repping 3 jacks, and it doesn't necessarily make that much sense for me to have 3 jacks, 3-betting betting the flop. I mean, this all just looks so beautiful. But then he reaches back and he shoves for like 1,000 total. I mean, and in my mind, I was like, what the fuck? Where the hell did this come from? And in my mind, I'm folding, but like, I'm thinking about this for a little bit anyway. It's just very confused. I was just so confused. I felt like I knew I was going to fold, but I was so confused. Because the kid looks kind of nervous. I mean, he's probably not a kid, but like, to me, he looked a lot younger, and he just looked kind of nervous. But, I mean, 3-bet shove this river? I mean, okay. I mean, maybe could it be ace-jack, where he doesn't want to check raise flop, but, hard to get called by that many hands on the river? Trying to induce or get called light, thinking I don't have too much ace-x. I mean, pocket 8s is possible. I mean, but these hands, I would expect to go just a little bigger than this on the river. I mean, this is a 75 into 395. This shit is like 20%. This is tiny. Why is he going this tiny if he has an all-in hand? Makes me think he's light. But if he's light, then what? Then how did this suddenly turn into a 3-bet river shove bluff? Like, what in the world is he bluffing with? Or like, if he's bluffing, why isn't he using a much bigger size than 75? I mean, this line is just so nutted. Even though the guy looked nervous, okay, fuck my. I mean, it's. I should have realized that. Like, I think my mind kind of was made up towards raise fold, but you know something? I think if I'm gonna raise here, I should be raise calling. If I'm confident enough to raise, I gotta just call off. But either way, have your mind made up before you do anything. I mean, I think certain players you can decide to raise fold, others you can decide to raise call. This guy is probably better to raise call. I fold. He shows us 6 of diamonds. We get ace, jack, 8, deuce, jack. He shows us 6 of diamonds. Now, I don't remember if either of the jacks are diamonds, so could he have jack 6 of diamonds? I mean, probably not. Then, I couldn't believe this. The dealer flipped over his other card. I don't know if he thinks you got to show both. Nobody objected to anything. He flipped over the ace of diamonds. So he raised ace-6 of diamonds under the gun. Okay, calls this 3-bet out of position. Terrible. With another player coming in also. Gets an ace-high flop, check calls. Has no draw on the turn, check, check. Another jack comes on the river, and he bets 75 with just a tiny ace, and gets raised to 250, and then jammed this hand. So that means I don't know what in the world this kid was thinking, and this is the problem I get myself into. This is the trouble I run into sometimes playing against players this age. Is these guys sit down, and I give them credit, more credit than they deserve. These guys are not pros. They have a little bit of know-how. They could beat soft games. These guys would not make it playing in Vegas year-round. They're going to get too tilted. They're going to do too many. They're going to fuck up too many times. They're not going to be able to handle it. They're going to have their big days. They're going to have their moments. I mean, being put in this spot, ace-6 I mean, his river lead is terrible. And it's just like, how many people would have just called him and he just loses? I guess when he got raised, he started to think that he's somehow beat and doesn't want to call now, but still thinks maybe if he jams, he can get me off hand. I mean, it was just the most bizarre thing. And, this was during an overnight game. I don't know what time it was. I mean, it was probably like after midnight. I mean, it's not crazy late, but it's late. And I'll tell you something. You just don't ever see shit like this in the daytime. I think I play better in the daytime. Not that I don't make mistakes, but like this bet small on the river, 3-bet shove. A bluff, I mean, from anybody. And he does it with this hand. I mean, it's a great spot for him to just think that I'm making some weird bluff with kings or queens, if I'm betting flop, which I'm not, or that I could just be bluffing with like a missed gut shot. I mean, that the spot looks so perfectly for him to just call there, thinking, how many raised folds do I have that he doesn't already beat? And I think when the hand was over, I think he realizes, and his buddy, they both realized that what he did was just kind of insanely, ridiculously stupid. But they're like, but I guess it worked, so I guess that makes it good. Well, clicking a random button is not good. But the sickest thing about getting bluffed here is, one, if I just call, I mean, I don't even get put in the spot. But I think this is an automatic raise, and I attack spots like this at 2-5 all the time. And I'm either called by a worse hand, they fold, or they re-bluff, and it's not, or re-raise, and it's not going to be a bluff. You don't get shown bluffs in these spots. But the guy made so many mistakes in the hand that, I'm not giving credit to a guy who had played a hand horribly up to a certain point, where now all of a sudden he thinks jam is the best move. I mean, what pisses me off is that there's so many times where I've been in a spot just like this one, where if a guy checks and I bet, and I tell myself, if he raises, if he does anything, I don't care what it is, I'm calling. Or I bet and I raise him, and I think the exact same thing. This time, I didn't have that thought. This time, a guy actually makes the play and bluffs and falls into the trap like the 1% of the time it's going to happen. Or does the thing that I'm ready for over and over and over again. Never happens. It finally happens. I miss it. And then, of all the hands he could have done it with, he does it with this hand. An ace. He didn't do it with just some, Jack X blocker straight draw. If he has Queen 10, King Queen, and he's bluffing here, I mean, bluffing river for this really tiny, you know what, fuck the blockers, fuck all this talk. I don't know what the fuck happened in this hand, but I walked away from a huge fucking pot in the end. Unbelievable. I mean, yeah, that rattled me a little bit. I got a little spewy for a couple of orbits, did a couple of things that I shouldn't have done. Really wasn't a disaster. I didn't dump that much money at all. I made one stupid call on the river for 105 with kings and queens against some backdoor flush. Then I paid that guy off again with top 2 pair when he hit another flush. He bet a quarter pot on the river. I mean, these, I guess, are the ideal bets because they're getting me to call. But when you do see these sizes, they're gonna be hands you beat often enough. So, after I got bluffed there, I mean that shoved me up for a while. Of course it did. I didn't chastise the guy for playing like an idiot. I mean, I'm the one who fucked up in the end. I should have stacked this fucking asshole. I mean, no wonder he looked nervous. And I just never see people take this line on the river with bluffs. It just never happens. But this is part of, you might even call it, I think inexperience is saying a little too much, but I think I just play better in the daytime. I don't know. I just think, it seems like I just think clearer in the daytime. And I haven't been sleeping that great. I mean, just all these goddamn things came together. Fucking brutal. Absolutely fucking brutal. I am so sick about that. This is one of these hands I'm just never going to forget. Because if I called that guy there, it just would have been freaking beautiful. How many people in the world, they just call there? And imagine you raise, and the one time someone re-shoves with something absolutely idiotic, you call them. You're there to call them. Got away from me. I mean, just fastball down the middle, bases loaded, popped it up. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. I didn't come apart, though. I mean, more young players were joining the game. It was a lively group. And I was battling, up and down a little bit. I got a lot of it back. I was only down a few hundred. I did a couple of little ninja bluffs here and there. Just meaning these little check raises in spots where these little schmucks are betting kind of small on the flop. And it's they're not betting with anything big. I mean, just that guy when he freaking turns his ace-6 into a bluff. I mean, I'm just shocked. Shocked by that whole... the most shocked I am about the whole thing is the hand he did it with. Ace-6. There are so many people who would have taken the exact line he did and just called the river raise and then just been owned. So, did he own me? I mean, sort of. I mean, once 50 things happened to put him in this spot, which he put himself in a very stupid spot where he's just losing a ton of money. He finally ran into a spot with a player who could raise the value hand and then be moved off of it. The guy only bought in 1,000. The whole thing was a super freaking lightning bolt, but you still feel like a fish for not catching them. So then when I got into the game, it was close to 5 a.m. And one of the first things I saw was this young guy on my right, young white guy with this big curly fluffy hair, sitting with a bunch of reds, like, not crazy deep, but kind of deep. He just has a lot of chips because he's got a lot of red chips. He limped Jack 8 offsuit under the gun, and he check-raised jam 2 pair on the river. The guy bet 200. The jam was only about 450. It wasn't like anything nuts. So he loses this sizable pot. And this is the limp call type of player. So this guy's a huge spot. And when this hand begins, he's got about 1,400. He limp calls 30 from early position. I got ace-4 clubs. And it comes 9-7-3, 2 clubs. And he check calls 40. We're up to 140. Turns a king of diamonds, 2-tone board. He check calls 150. River's a jack. Both flush draws miss. Queen 10 gets there. Not straight. 10-8 gets there as a straight as well. 6-8 misses. Diamonds and clubs miss. He checks, and, I know that the guy has some really dumb hand very often. So I jam. And rather fast. Not the snap, but rather fast. He called. Okay, turn it over. He's got 7-5 offsuit. 7 of clubs. He paired 7s and 7 was a club. And it turned out he had 1169, so the jam was 2.65x, and he check called rather fast with 4th pair here. And when you zoom out a little bit, this jam is fine. I'm doing this every single time. It's 5 a.m. This is part of, me not being in these games at these times very often and not realizing you might run into more bluffs in these bizarre spots you just had with ace-king, and that you might get called in a spot like this a little bit more often by a player with this weak of a hand. I know looking at the guy, he's a suboptimal candidate. He's got 13-4. Yeah, I said he got, 1169 on the river. Who knows if the guy is in for 2,500 or 2,700 or 2,300, and he was maybe almost even. And then he loses his hand with Jack 8, 2 pair, and now, he's frustrated again. One of the most tilting things is when you're buried in a game. You start getting it back. You get a bunch back, maybe 40%, maybe 60%, and then you start losing again. And now you start losing back most of what you had already won back. And now you're getting not upstuck, more like just restuck. And, you think you're on the comeback trail, you think you're going to get out of it, and now you're getting put back in it. That is brutal. And it is 5 in the fucking morning, and, this guy just sees this double 2-tone board. Both miss. This is his chance. He's just ready to go home. He is knocked out. He is tired. And I could have been bluffing with a better hand. That's the sickest part. I will be bluffing here with ace-7 suited, 9-7-3. Yes, I will triple it off in case he has a 9. If I have pocket 8s, I will triple it off in case he has a 9. If I have 9-8, 10-9, I might triple it off in case he has a bigger 9. I'm going to show up with some better hands here that are bluffing. And if I had a big value hand, I would never, ever go this size because I would never, ever expect to be called. That's why I bluff this size. Everybody watches this hand. Nobody is impressed or licking their chops about anything. They think, wow, this guy, they're happy that the huge station has all this money now, but they're seeing me do this, and players are thinking, whoa. That puts people back on their heels when they see a guy lose a huge overbet. And this is one of the biggest overbets I've ever lost on the river in a pot compared to the pot size. And it's just not a coincidence, is it, that it happened in 5 in the morning against this fishy player who just doubled another player up, who's limp calling garbage. You don't know what he's going to do. I just didn't think he was going to stack off with that weak of a hand. Can you blame me? When you see the hand he calls with, can you blame me for going for it there when that's the range I'm going to be facing quite often on the river? Yeah, I know they say don't bluff nut flush draws that miss on the river. That's a solver, people. Does the solver come in with 7-5 offsuit limping under the gun? Is that a low frequency move? No. Blow me with the fucking solver, okay? So these two soul crushing hands by just total bolts from the blue in the same night, like some sub 1% should in both spots. Instead of guy going runner on you twice in a night, hitting some straight flush or something like that. I lost this way by people making decisions at spots that they almost hardly ever make them and hardly anybody ever puts themselves in these spots. Not that many people will check back the turn with ace king and then raise the river. Not that many people are going to triple barrel this hand and bluffing on the river. So I am going to run into these variance crazy things because I put myself in those spots. And as soon as I got called, this other player at the end of the table said, he had a read. I'm like, he had a read? He limped in with 7-5 offsuit under the gun. The guy is getting desperate. You're telling me he had a read? How many fucking times do you get paid off people doubling up because they had a read? No, they kept their read to themselves after that. People think they have a read a lot sometimes. Pros do it too. You don't think I've tried to convince myself I have a read on somebody? Oh, he's light. He's not fucking light. You just wanted to believe he was light? If that guy still had $2,500 when the hand started and I bet, 3 times the pot or something, maybe not necessarily shove. I mean, that guy is probably calling less often in that situation. He probably was just tilted from that other hand. And this maneuver, as it appears in the results, I mean, it was probably a little riskier than I thought. I mean, if it was 5 p.m. instead of 5 a.m., I think I'm getting a fold here. It's just, these are the kinds of things that happen 5 in the morning. People get desperate. They're worn out. They're shot. They're not thinking straight. I mean, they ain't playing good at 5 p.m. either, but they're not coming this far off the rails. I mean, if I played more in these overnight games, I'd probably get better at, making value shoves or making thinner calls for bigger pots, and just bluffing a little bit less because people are calling too much. I mean, I'm just so, I'm not trying to make excuses, but I can see how these things would happen to me because I'm so used to being in these other games. I've seen this spot a million freaking times. And look, what happened day or night. I mean, it's super rare even at night. 3-bet shoving ace-6 of diamonds. I mean, his river bet is such spew. It's such spew. He's getting called by a better hand so often. There are so many people who 3-bet the flop just checking back ace because they don't want to get check raised by a set that trapped on the flop. They don't want to be in that spot. They don't expect to get 3 streets. If they have top 2 or set, yeah, they're going for it. But like ace-king, there's a lot of players checking back, including me. I checked back because I just thought the guy would probably have a lot of bullshit that might fold to a turn bet. And I was right. I did everything right. Then he stuffs all the money in my face. And it was so bad it was good. I mean, I just fucking gave him too much credit. Give these players too much credit to think that they're actually playing better than they are. I mean, look, I know I can't beat the fuck out of myself for this. I mean, it's one night of poker. I lost 2,100. What is it, the end of the world? And I was watching a little bit of the Yankee game tonight. And Cody Bellinger, left fielder, good baseball player. A lot of ups and downs in his career, but he's had a nice career. He just drops a ball in left field. Like, not like a can of corn, but like he's just up against the left field wall trying to run down a ball. He's there, and he fucking dropped it. Bellinger, good outfielder. Good first baseman, just a good baseball player. And I just felt a little better watching that. I was like, okay. I was like, this solid baseball player making a ton of money just really fucked up. Then Jason Dominguez, the Martian, the Yankees right fielder tonight. He runs into the wall. He bends over a little bit, looks a little shook up. He seems all right. He had a concussion a couple weeks ago, banging his head running into the left field wall, Yankee Stadium a few weeks ago. And in between, Bellinger and Martian Dominguez tonight, Jazz Chisholm, that loudmouth second baseman on the Yankees, he left the game colliding with Dominguez with what could have been a concussion. And Anthony Rizzo had a concussion for the Yankees, I think, like 3 years ago. So, there's only so many concussions in baseball each season. You got Bellinger dropping this ball, all these Yankees heads getting hurt in the same inning. It just gave me a little perspective. It's like, all right, just some wonky shit happens sometimes. And it's not that you're this fool. You just ran into some very bizarre shit and, you weren't tip-top perfect and able to catch it. I mean, I would have caught this A6 reshove earlier in the day if it was, I think I would have more likely to catch that in the daytime. But that's the thing. They don't even make the fucking move. How many times I tell myself, all right, if he does anything, I'm calling. And they don't do anything. They just fold or they just call. And I'm like, yeah, would have been right. 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 This time I don't even think of it. And this is what happens. Of course. And I got another interesting spot. A new player sits down, raises to 20, folds back to me. I 3-bet ace-king off in the big line to 105. I'm in for 3,500 at this point, I think. Maybe 3,300. He calls. Flop comes king, 6, deuce, rainbow. So I do a perfect internet size. I go like 60. He calls. Turns at 8 of clubs, and I just felt like a bet was coming. I check. He bet 200. I raised to 680. He tanked and he folded, and he was looking at my stack a lot. I mean, in hindsight, it feels like maybe he was looking, like trying to figure out a price. I think he did get pushed off of a draw. It does actually seem that way. Now, should I have check raised smaller? I mean, yeah, I suppose I could have. I mean, 480 was only 65% of the pot, you know. I figure when he bet the turn, I'm getting stacked by sets, and maybe he'll reshove another king, or at the very least call. So, thought I had a chance to win a big pot there, but I didn't get one. Then we get a new player sits down, sits in the same seat of the guy I bluffed off to. Who, oh, by the way, he left shortly after that, but he was also not protecting his cards at all. And when I told this hand to a friend, he asked me, "Do you think he could have seen your hand?" You know, 9-7-3 King Jack. He check calls rather fast with fourth pair. He was in C1, I'm in C2, where it starts to curve around. So I just don't see how he could have seen my hand. But he was not protecting his cards at all. And he's got 10-6 of clubs in the big blind. We're six-handed. I got King 3 off under the gun. Please let it fold over one time. I make it 25. Call 3 bets of 125 by a nit. All right, so I lose 25. So that's... I lose another 25 because the guy cannot protect his hand. And yes, this is a desperate open from under the gun with King 3 offsuit, but it's only six-handed, so I would have never done this eight-handed. Six-handed, I was willing to take one fucking shot at it. And even if I do get one call, all right, at least we're going three ways and I have information about one hand at least. Still an advantage. But King 3 off sucks. Anyway, new guy sits down, this Asian guy with like this bleached hair. And he seems like he's going to play tight until he's losing. He won a hand early. He raised with a boat on the river. He didn't win a huge pot, but he showed it. And he was stacking his chips, all red chips, in like this little fortress. It was like a toy. He's like in a playpen, this guy. Then there's a straddle on. There's a limp, under the gun limp. He makes it 30 in the cutoff. And I have King Jack off on the button. And I 3-bet to 125, folds over, and he calls. So we got about 270, 75 out there. And flop comes Queen 8-5, 2 diamonds. I have a total air ball. He check calls 125. I mean, I know I'm going to just have to barrel off into a lot of shitty hands, and I'm a little scared to barrel off with this hand since it's a little equity. I mean, looking at this player type, you know, and it's hard to fire another huge bluff when you've had the one go down the way it did before. This is a new player, so it starts fresh. He doesn't know I do that. Turn is a 10. Wow, gin card. I have a nice open ender now. Now I can check back if I want. It's not safe to check back. He bets. He bets 150. It's not that big of a bet. Probably not that big of a hand, but it's probably a pretty good hand. And I think it's definitely safe to just call and try and hit here. You know, King could definitely give me the best hand. Let's just see. And I miss. Flush comes in, though. It's a 7 of hearts. And there's like 800 out there now, and he checks. I got no blockers. I just got air. And, you know, I didn't think he got to this river with a particularly weak hand. And, you know, yeah, of course I'm a little gun shy here. I checked. Yeah, I gave up. I wasn't too upset about the hand he turned over. King, Queen with the King of Hearts. So he has top pair, King of Hearts. So, you know, if he faces a jam here, I mean... He's has top pair and an important heart blocker. I mean, I don't know what kind of guy this guy is, but I put it this way. This player type showing up at this hour in the morning, I'm not upset I didn't bluff at this. So that one I at least don't have to feel like a total asshole about. But yeah, I mean, this was a brutal night. Then I got into one more hand, self-played. Raised to 20 with queens is a 3-bet to 65. I make it 200. He rips a little over 500. He has ace king and wins. And shortly after that, I left. That's, you know, I would have been down, I guess about 1100 had I won that hand. I mean, I quit about 7:30, 7:40 in the morning, 8.5 hours. I mean, feeling like total dog shit walking out of there. So, yeah, look, I'll bring in these other hand histories soon, I promise. Just got to shake this one off. I mean, fell pretty hard off the tightrope both ways tonight. You know, first trying to get cute. Well, not even cute, just making a good value raise and then having the bizarrest of bluffs thrown at me and then bluffing off to this guy. I mean, you know, it's just bad timing. Just a lot of bad timing. You know, what am I supposed to bluff on that river with the ace-4 clubs? What do I do? Just pot it and think the fourth pair hands are going to fold to that size? You don't necessarily have to risk jamming. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the sick thing is, if I had given up and been shown that hand, I would have hated myself for the rest of my life for not jamming that river, thinking there's no way he calls. I mean, I get mad at myself for things like that, but you know what? I have to remember some of those times people would have called, and you lose so much fucking money when these big overbet bluffs go down. So you gotta time them right. But look, it's World Series time, and on to the next one. So, thanks guys. See you next time.